everybody, Dave Bazanko here, and we are on video number 8 of 8 in our Triathlon Terms for Beginners series. Today we're going to be talking about race-specific terms, things you're going to hear around the race course. And if you haven't heard these terms already, maybe this will be the first time you've heard of them. If you think I've got it wrong, leave a comment and let me know. I'm pretty sure I've got it right, but and if I'm missing something that you've heard that maybe I've just forgotten and neglected to put in here, drop a comment and let me know, and we'll get that sorted out and make sure that we address it. So let's just start off. What is a rolling start? Well, a rolling start simply means that you're going out in waves to start the race. So the clock starts with the pros when they get into the water. And that's the unique thing about Ironman. I've actually fallen in love with this, is that the idea that you as an amateur athlete are playing on the same race course as the best in the world on the same day, experiencing the exact same things. I literally, in my first Ironman Muskoka that I did, Craig Alexander and Marinda Carfrae won that race, and that they both went on that year to win their first Ironman championship. That was their warm-up race to go to Hawaii to win in Kona. So I was standing there right beside Marinda Carfrae. I had no idea who she was, but she was getting an awful lot of attention from photographers, so I figured she had to be somebody. And then at the end of the race, I realized who that was, and I just thought to myself, like, how awesome is this? That here I am, at that time I was 45 years old, but I'm literally standing beside one of the world's best triathletes, and we're about to take on this challenge together. And like, you just can't do that in Major League Baseball or the NFL or the NBA. You got to go, pay to go to some fantasy camp. No, this is like, you're doing it with them, and it's a pretty special moment. And a tradition that you may not be aware of in Ironman on race day that I absolutely love is that the men's pro and the women's pro, after they finish the race, they come back, and in the last hour of the race, they're the ones who are handing out the medals to the finishers. Because as hard as it is to get across the finish line in 8 hours, they also appreciate how hard it is for those people who are struggling out there for 17 hours. And that's just part of the tradition of the family of what Ironman is, the level of commitment that people make and the respect that the pros have for the age groupers and vice versa. So that's just one thing. If you didn't know that, the pros come back and hand out the medals to the last finishers coming in. It is a massive party, and it's one thing that I really try to be a part of as much as I can, be there for the finish, because it's spectacular. So the rolling start is when everybody goes out in waves. I shouldn't say that. A rolling start is when you go out in groups of, say, 5 or 10. Every 5 seconds or 10 seconds, they just roll them out into the water. A wave start is when you're going out by age group. So every age group category, every 5 minutes, the next wave group goes out of that next age group. And then a mass start is everybody in the water, let's go. Off the horn goes, and 2,000 people go charging into the water, and it's chaos. And it can be fun at times, and it can be awfully scary at times too. I've often said this. We had a rolling start in Louisville in my first Ironman, and unfortunately, one of the swimmers beside me had a heart attack and died in the water because he didn't practice open water swimming. We know this from interviews after the race with his family. He was a very competent, pool swimmer, but was uncomfortable in the water. He didn't prepare, and unfortunately, that caught up with him on race day in a very negative way, and it can be chaotic. And if you're not prepared for it. And I don't mean this to scare you. You've got to prepare for this. You've got to prepare for open water swimming and panic attacks. That's a real thing. I should actually have panic attacks on here, because that is when your heart rate's accelerated, and you need to have a strategy to calm yourself down. That is a hugely important part of racing on race day, and even training, just getting that training volume in of getting in open water. I don't know if I put this into the open water one. I probably should have put this in the swimming video, but panic attacks happen. They're real. But the only way you can overcome them is by getting in the water, having them, rolling over onto your back, breathe, catch your breath, roll over again, put your face in the water, and get going again. That's the only way you can overcome them. All right, let's talk about cutoff time. So each discipline of the race has a cutoff time. So if you don't get out of the water, if you don't get off the bike, if you don't finish the race on the run, there's a cutoff time there, and you get pulled off the race. The people who pull you off the race are called the sweepers. We've talked about those in an earlier video. The sweeper is literally there with a clock and looking at your time going, if you don't pick this up, you're not going to make it. I'm doing the math, and eventually I'm going to pull you off the race course because they can't have people struggling all over the race course. All right. Penalty tent. We talked about penalty tent earlier, but I'll talk about it again. When you're assigned a penalty on the course for maybe you're drafting behind another racer, or you didn't have your chin strap done up on your helmet and you were handling your bike, maybe you didn't cross the line properly to get onto your bike, maybe you mounted your bike before you got to the mount dismount line, and you get a penalty. It's usually a 5-minute penalty, and you have to go into this pop-up 10x10 tent that says penalty box. So you go in there and you serve out your penalty, and then back to the racing you go. That is typically something only the pros have to deal with. Most of the rest of us, I've never talked to an amateur age grouper who's ever gotten a penalty, and we've screwed up pretty big, and they just kind of go, hey, don't do that again. Usually. I can't speak of any age grouper that I know of that's ever gotten a penalty for just trying to get through the day. The finishing chute, I've talked about this many times. The finishing chute is the carpeted stretch, the last stretch before you get to the finish line, where the clock tracks you crossing the finish line, tracks your tag, and gives you your official race time. The thing about the penalty, the finishing chute is, and I learned this on Ironman Cozumel, or on Ironman Louisville, my first Ironman, I did not know it was a 2-loop race. I was so delirious, didn't know what was going on, wasn't paying attention, whatever you want to call it. But thank God there was a guy running beside me who all of a sudden wasn't there. And I said to a volunteer at the top of the finishing chute, because I thought my race day was done, I just said to her, there was a guy beside me. Where did he go? And she went, oh, he went to do his victory lap. And I thought, oh, he went around, run around the block or something to make up the time, and he was going to come back into the finishing chute. It was only when I went around the block and realized I was back on the full marathon course and that I had only done half of the race that I absolutely hit my wall and was devastated. You know, these things happen, but you pick yourself up, right? You have your pity party, then you get on with it and you keep moving forward. So, yeah, the sweeper is there to make sure that you finish in time, and the penalty box is there to ensure that you don't do silly things. But the finishing chute is there to make sure that you do not cross over the finishing chute, cross over the finishing line until you've done the entire race, or you do get disqualified. And again, I've mentioned a sweeper. A sweeper, of course, is the person keeping time, making sure that you're going to make the next cutoff, and their job is literally to take you off the course if you're not going to get there. I've talked about the penalty box. That's where you serve your time penalties. I've talked about the aid stations before. That's where you're getting your nutrition and help that you need on the bike or the run course. Loops, that's a term that indicates, is it a loop, meaning you're doing multiple loops of the run or multiple loops of the bike? You're going to hear the term out and back, or point to point. Out and back simply means I'm going to run to this distance, then I'm going to run back. A point to point might be, you might have a swim that's point to point where you start here and finish here. So that's this point to that point. So that's a point to point. Out and back is there and back. And loops is doing loops. Pretty straightforward, but just in case you had any questions. And then the last thing, you don't see these on shorter races, but on Ironman distance races, you definitely have special needs bags. So I was the captain of the special need bags for Ironman Muskoka in their inaugural race. And essentially what your job is, you're halfway on the run course. You as a runner, as an athlete, you get to pack, maybe you got some special gels that you want, or maybe you want a fresh pair of socks or a warmer top because you know you're going to be running late. Whatever you need, you put it into your numbered bag. It's got your race number on it. And we organize those by the side of the road so that if you come in and you say, hey, I'm athlete 5'10 and I need my special needs bag, the volunteers will find your bag for you, and they'll have it waiting for you when you get to the aid station. So you just have to tell the volunteer, yeah, I've got a special needs bag, I need that. They'll get that bag for you and they'll give it to you at the aid station. And then you take out of that whatever you need, throw whatever you don't need back into it. And it's kind of like a temporary storage system during the race for you. So that kind of sums up. There's a lot going on here. I think in total these videos might have totaled well over an hour, but there's a lot of definitions in here that beginner triathletes need to know. If I've missed anything, please let me know in the comments, and I can elaborate on that. If you think I've got something wrong, tell me, and we'll sort it out. If you like this series of videos, give me a thumbs up. That's awesome. If you haven't subscribed already, please go ahead and subscribe. I am trying to get to 100,000 subscribers in 3 years. If that can happen, I will sign up for another Ironman and take you along on that journey behind the scenes with me. So I've got well over 250 more questions that need answers to, and I'll be answering them every day in a new video. So hopefully this will be your home and resource if you're a new beginner triathlete and you want to figure some stuff out and not have to pay for it. That's the best part about this. You're paying for enough stuff already getting involved in the sport. Let's try and do this as efficiently and as painlessly as possible. So I will have links to everything that I've talked about in the descriptions. If you want to pick up some gels online, if you want to pick up Joe Friel's Triathlete's Bible online, I'll put a list of links in the resources. I am an Amazon affiliate, so when you use my link, I do get a little kickback from that. And if you're cool with that, hey, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm very grateful for all of you that, I've recommended so many things over the years and really not getting anything back from it. It's not like I'm looking to get anything back from it, but at the same time, it does help me to keep doing this and keep the lights turned on and help hopefully make this resource better for you. That's at the end of the day what I'm trying to do. So thanks again for watching. And if you've got a recommendation for another series of videos that are a playlist that I can put together for you, let me know. But otherwise, you'll see the next video question being answered on one of these two sides, and we'll see you in that next video. Bye for now.